Hey everyone, Simon here from Eclipsify, and this video is going to be one of the first of many under the Eclipse YouTube channel, which this video is going to be dedicated to learning about different elements of crypto and blockchain. In this video, we are going to be covering DePIN, and DePIN is quite a mouthful actually to understand. For those that have been around in crypto for some time, you might have heard the term thrown around. You might already have an understanding what DePIN is. DePIN isn't actually a new thing. It's been around actually for quite a long time, dating back even before decentralized finance. In this video, we're going to break it down. The reason why we're starting with DePIN is we actually have a launch on the launchpad coming up in about a week or 2 weeks from the date of this video. And the platform, Hivello, we're going to have a future video talking about that platform itself, is actually a platform dedicated to making DePIN accessible and simple for everyday people. So it makes sense for us to start this Learn series with, what is DePIN? So DePIN, quite a mouthful, stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network, which is a lot of words, but let's break it down. So Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. What it is, essentially, DePIN is the intersection of physical infrastructure, and that can be things like wireless networks, VPNs, GPU, all sorts of hardware, and combined with blockchain. And so the decentralized element is how do we community source, or how do we take these physical infrastructure elements that exist in the real world, and this could be power grids, it could be mobile networks, it could be almost anything you can imagine that is physical infrastructure, and how do we decentralize this in a way that we remove the central points of failure? I'm going to give some real world examples of this because it's going to help with existing platforms that might have been around in the space for a long time, just to explain how it works. But essentially the concept was, how do you allow everyday people to participate in networks or infrastructure and actually contribute to the network and earn rewards for doing so? It actually stems from a similar concept to the first ethos of crypto and blockchain. When Bitcoin started, people could actually mine Bitcoin off their computer and provide computer power obviously to the network and validation to the network and receive rewards. Now that wasn't DePIN because it's not dealing with real world physical infrastructure, but it just comes from a similar concept of where crypto stemmed from, where people were able to participate in something that was bigger and wider and global, and they were able to actually earn from this. It does serve a couple of purposes, and so when I dig into the individual kind of examples of different DePINs, it will make a lot more sense. But it does bring forth a couple really large advantages, especially the decentralized elements. So let's take data storage, and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you 3 different platforms out there in the space that are currently doing DePIN. But let's take data storage, for example. So what a DePIN could look like with data storage, rather than one company just having huge warehouses with data servers that are storing huge amounts of data, you can actually allow, let's say, millions of people around the world to provide their computing power from their computer to provide some data storage that's spread across the whole entire world, and you can reward these users for providing this data storage. What that means is users are getting rewarded for providing this, and you're removing central points of failure. If you've got one central company or a central location, you might have natural disasters, you might have censorship, you might have all sorts of reasons why the network could go down. There could be data breaches, there could be all sorts of things that could happen. So the decentralized element adds a whole range of good features in. It also helps to save costs. It could bring down costs. If you've got a company that's got a giant monopoly and they control prices, they can push up the prices, they can do all sorts of things, and it causes issues. Similar things happened not that long ago with cloud services, especially in relation to crypto. There was a German, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a German company that basically said nobody's allowed to use our services for crypto validation or anything like that. And so there was huge issues with people couldn't run nodes and couldn't do all sorts of stuff, and it was a big problem. So these kind of things are things that DePIN helps to solve. But let me share a couple examples of existing DePINs out there, and the imagination can go wild with this. So there's obviously a large range of DePINs, and they will do all sorts of different things and different ways that you can participate. But I'm going to start with a couple of different examples, quite different as we go along, but we're going to start with Render Network. So Render Network is a marketplace which enables and connects creators, especially like 3D animators, with people that might have spare GPU power. So you might have spare graphics power on your computer. It could even be like a third-party company that's got large amounts of GPU power, and enables to, basically connect them and to make this more efficient for these animators to tap into this spare GPU power. So a lot of like what DePINs do in general is they provide like tokens in return for people to actually provide these services. So I'm not going to go too deep into the workings of how this actually works, but it just gives you an idea of one of the things that can be done with DePIN. Next is a project that I'm actually quite interested in that launched not that long ago called Natix. Natix does a couple things, but it's mostly around the mapping network of maps. So sometimes with DePIN projects, you might purchase or receive physical devices that you might attach to, like this one, for example, you mount on a car. So this one is access your Tesla's camera footage. So you're essentially selling like your camera footage from your Tesla to the network that can be used to create better mapping, improve all sorts of traffic things. There's many iterations of this actual concept of DePIN where we've seen platforms that add this device on your car and it's improving, it's creating better Google Maps networks. Like rather than one company doing all the mapping, it's done in a decentralized way. You might have things on your mobile phone where you connect to this network and earn tokens, and it might map driver behavior like speed and the way that people interact. And the more obviously users adopt this network, the more successful it is. Akash is quite a famous one, and it is a marketplace for compute. We talk about like GPU power. This is like being able to buy and sell a whole range of computing resources between each other. So this one is looking to be is working on being like a decentralized AWS or Google Cloud as well. Filecoin, so decentralized storage. So decentralized storage around the world. There's a couple of platforms focusing on this. Jackal Protocol, Airweave, also focusing on people being able to monetize their spare storage. Helium is quite an interesting one. Helium's been around for a long time and one of the initial ones around node devices. They focus on two main fronts. One is like mobile hotspots, so being able to create these decentralized networks of internet and mobile. And the secondary one is related to Internet of Things. Then we have one very ancient called Power Ledger. I'm not actually sure where Power Ledger currently is at. I just remember Power Ledger from 2017 ICO days. It was one of those initial ones focusing on decentralization of power grids. So just a concept of DePIN could be someone with solar panels selling their power back into the grid. That already exists, but it's done in a centralized way. So what if people could monetize their own power, the excess power, and creating a decentralized network for power? Sentinel. So Sentinel is one built on the Cosmos SDK as well, which is focusing on decentralized VPNs. So it has their own decentralized VPN as the platform, but there's also a whole marketplace for decentralized VPNs where they build on top of Sentinel and actually offer these decentralized VPNs, which is quite important when we talk about censorship and data and a whole range of different things. So yeah, these are just a couple of the utilities that DePIN networks can enable, but it gives you a bit of a clearer picture of this. Is the whole concept is these physical infrastructure networks that are typically run by centralized companies, able to be distributed, and the value can be shared where community members around the world can actually provide either computing power or electricity or devices in return for earning tokens, which is typically represents a value share of the network itself. So that's DePIN. Make sure to keep an eye out. Obviously, Hivello is a platform that will be launching soon, which is a app which helps to simplify DePIN all in one place. So it's essentially an app that gets downloaded onto your computer, and it automates a lot of the process of DePIN, of your computer being able to earn tokens while it's live. We're going to release a video that's going to have a deeper breakdown of Hivello itself, but for the sake of this video, it's a learn video on DePIN network. Feel free to add in the comments If you've got any questions or if you learned anything from this video, make sure to share and like and subscribe this video as well. We're going to have a lot more content coming up around like RWAs. We're going to talk about DeFi, some of the basics of blockchain. We'll have a range of more learn videos. We will break down specific things in crypto so that you can better understand them. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you on the next one.